China is canceling the first day off of the Chinese New Year's next year because Xi Jinping hates the homophones to his name. Meanwhile, the regime is doubling down on patriotic education amidst rapid global shifts. How do they all connect? Welcome to China Insider. I'm David Zhang. Now, 2023 marks the 10 years of Xi Jinping's ascension to power, paramount power. But it also is a strange year because of so many public fallouts that we've been covering when it comes to Chinese politics, from purging the rocket force to firing the loyal staff like Qin Gang and Li Shangfu to the worsening economy. Xi Jinping's paranoia is reaching an insurmountable level. He's afraid that the military and the public are conspiring to take his life. Now, this has translated into the highest level of political sensitivity in China. And cultural traditions matter a lot in China when it comes to dates and names. From the earlier years, when China actually banned Winnie the Pooh, the character, because of the clear resemblance, to now removing anything suggestive of threatening Xi Jinping. Now, we are basically in a Hermit Kingdom show. China is North Korea 2.0. The most recent event has Chinese people reacting quite negatively. The CCP released the 2024 calendar for national holidays, and it was revealed that Chuxi, or New Year's Eve for the Chinese New Year, is not going to be a day off for the public in 2024. Now, New Year's Eve is when families gather for a festival meal to celebrate the beginning of the new year in China. And when I was in China, we would eat a whole feast, we watch state media and their annual gala, and then we light fireworks and firecrackers. It was a way to get introduced to the next year. Not only was the holiday canceled for New Year's Eve, but they made the makeup dates were also adjusted. And that drew great dissatisfaction among Chinese netizens. They angrily criticized the new holiday arrangement as illogical and complained that they could not reunite with their families on New Year's Eve. Many actually travel across China to go back to their families. Well, this isn't something new. In fact, most places in China take it sort of like a Christmas Eve type of day, right? Maybe you don't officially get it off, but nobody in the office has a mind working that day. Everyone's either trying to shop for last minute gifts or they're simply trying to relax ahead of the holidays. But there is a hidden reason widely circulating online as to why this event is it's exploding in China, right? So the Chinese characters for Chuxi, New Year's Eve, and the characters for removing Xi, they're homonyms, meaning that they sound the same. But of course, they're different characters. So of course here, Chuxi is written as such. Meanwhile, the removing Xi is written as this, right? So they sound the same, but they're different meanings. Obviously, I doubt that Xi Jinping personally commanded that this day be, the holiday be removed. Nobody would talk about this over the same sounding characters. Now, this announcement has drawn so much attention because Chinese New Year is the most important part for Chinese people. And since the pandemic, it has lost so much of the flavor of the holiday season, simply because you have things like banning fireworks and changing holidays. Many people are complaining that they're not in the mood to celebrate. Someone online even pointed out this. It turns out that our General Secretary Xi is quite superstitious. After investigation, only the Chinese New Year in 2013 and 2023, or 2014 and 2024, according to the Gregorian calendar, are holidays starting from the first day of the Lunar New Year, and there is no holiday on New Year's Eve. In other words, right, all the other years, the holidays started on New Year's Eve. Coincidentally, these 2 years correspond to the first year that General Secretary Xi took office and the first year after announcing the abolition of the 2-term limits and re-election in the CCP. So there is a historic precedence to this too, right? The former president of the People's Republic of China, Yuan Shikai, he became an emperor for, I think, 83 days. He had ordered to change the name of the Lantern Festival, which in Chinese is called Yuan Shao Festival, where you eat these glutinous balls with different fillings with a warm broth, because the name suggested that Yuan Shao, as in Yuan Shikai's last name, and then the elimination, so the characters here, then he simply ordered everyone to call it Yuan Festival instead because it meant like it was eliminating Yuan, right? Eliminating him. So bad things, bad omen. Now in that case, Yuan Shikai, of course, he wanted to be an emperor himself. But recently another event has also added to this paranoia. And I think this is causing the censors and regulators in China to be very much in a political heightened sort of period. Speaking of emperors, there was a published book in China about Chongzhen, the last Ming Dynasty emperor. It was banned a week ago. Now, basically what happened was, before he hung himself, Chongzhen was widely viewed as a doing too much emperor, in that he was involved in micromanagement at all different sorts of fields, and he was doing too much, which led to the demise of the Ming Dynasty, or at least that's what researchers attributed to it. On the cover of the book, it proclaimed that Emperor Chongzhen made mistakes one after another, and the more he worked diligently, the more he destroyed the country. Sounds like somebody. The book talks about Emperor Chongzhen's missteps in finance, party struggle, military affairs, employment, all of it. And that led to the destruction of the country and then reminded many Chinese people, of course, of the current political situation. This year, Beijing has become particularly sensitive to negative reports on its economy, which is essentially still struggling to recover, right? Consumerism is at an all-time low. And we're also seeing all of the situation with the military, with the international side of politics. And of course, the insinuation that Xi Jinping is going to be the last emperor of the CCP is quite clear. And Xi Jinping, of course, has taken total control of every aspect of the country. And he also set up essentially what are called working groups or commissions over existing governmental organizations to oversee them. So rather than the head of the government, say the Secretary of Defense or the Secretary of Commerce, the head of the committee, which is always Xi Jinping, made all the executive decisions instead. And all these decisions had backfired and destroyed China. So for the example, right, it's as if the Pentagon had a committee group, and the person that oversaw their operations is, instead of the Secretary of Defense, is the House Speaker. So the Secretary of Defense became an empty title, whereas the House Speaker, right, the head of the party, became the decision maker for all things. Now, Xi Jinping did this for the economy too, not just the military and everything else. He set up this new super regulator. It's called the Central Finance Commission. And Xi Jinping is tightening financial sector control like no one ever before him. The Central Financial Commission, which Xi Jinping announced in March this year, it's going to serve as the de facto watchdog, planner, and decision maker for China's $61 billion financial industry. And it's weakening the power of state institutions like the Bank of China, the Central Bank, or the Security Regulation Commission in China. And that's according to the Financial Times. What it does is effectively remove the authority of the government body, and then what's taking over is the party. And so that minimizes the role of the Chinese State Council, right, which is the government, and China's premier, which, right now, who is Li Qiang. So in other words, Xi Jinping wants to directly control pretty much everything. Now, in the not-so-distant past, before 2013, China was ran on two separate levels. The Communist Party, of course, controlled everything, ideology and political decision-making, but it left the economy part to the government, which is again called the State Council, to control the financial decisions and so on. And so the CCP's top decision-making body, the Politburo Standing Committee, they even had different members controlling different areas of society. But under Xi Jinping, that's effectively been taken away. And so he now controls all of it, which again, they call it the Xi Jinping and the Six Servants. So this is doing too much, right? Such a level of micromanagement precisely is what led to the downfall of the last emperor of Ming. And so as you can see, even though if maybe the author, who is a Ming Dynasty scholar, probably didn't mean it, this book is a reprint, by the way, with a different title and a cover. But given the current political situation in China, everyone's going to be thinking about, the connection. And the authorities, what they're doing here is banning the books, right? Or they're censoring a holiday or whatever. If they didn't do that, maybe people wouldn't be thinking about the political sensitivity. But precisely because they don't want to make Xi mad, so they're doing this preemptively, that draws more attention than it actually if they left it alone. And of course, the author has already passed away, so they can't just arrest the guy or anything. Now, what these events and how they transpire tell us is that the political climate in China has reached a paramount sensitivity level. Any small signs of even words or actions are deemed politically troublesome, they're immediately taken out. And what we see next is going to be a full-on transformation into North Korea. Now, one of the big focus is on how to keep the transformation into North Korea going, and that focus is on patriotic education with communist characteristics. Before we go on to the second part, let me do a sponsor segment. Again, these segments help to keep the channel going, so if you look for some of the stuff here and you think it might, be useful for yourself or as a gift or for family members, please share that with them as well. So I've been using the German cosmic brand Dermaroller's hyaluronic acid mask for a few months now, and I found that this brand is loved by celebrities, and it's really popular in China and Europe. And they've been great for my skin. Here's why. I use it once a week, so it's very convenient, and it helps to moisturize and repair my skin barrier because I often wear makeup and I appear on camera. And so while you might think it's kind of weird for a guy to be using products like these, but let me tell you, guys, you need to start taking care of your skins because, it's such an easy step, right? It's first step, you just, wash your face, put this mask on, leave it for 10 minutes, and it's done. The results speak for itself. Each box comes with 10 masks so that you can buy one and use it for a few months. It's going to last you a long time. Now, my sponsor, Blueberry Quality Products, has done a 15% deal, as you all know, using my code David online, and that's actually much cheaper than the price on Amazon and other sites. For example, the price on Amazon is $69.99, $78.99, $71.99. Well, our price per box is $59 after the 15% discount. Now, if you buy 3 boxes, there's a bundle. It's actually even cheaper. After the 15% off, the average comes down to $53 per box. So that's $5 per mask. Now, it's a really high quality product, so I definitely recommend you check it out because the results are really good and it's so easy to use. So link in the description, check it out, and as well as in the comments. Now let's talk about China's rubber stamp legislative branch and how they passed a bill for the new patriotic education law, and it's going to take effect on the first day of 2024. Now this new law is the omnibus of total ideological domination and brainwashing. It consists of rules about what is considered patriotic in China, what is considered country loving. Now in simple terms, patriotic education is simply brainwashing. But the reason why patriotic education is such a powerful tool in the hands of the communists is because they confuse a very simple definition of what is loving the country versus loving the party. In China, right, it's about loving the party. And they're being groomed to think that by loving the party, they're loving the country. But patriotic education in America is about loving the country. It's what created the systems, the Constitution, or what preserves everything together. It's not about loving the Republican or Democratic Party. The difference here is so important. So if you receive patriotic education in China, subconsciously you're thinking about protecting the party. And so you're willing to shed blood, sweat, and tears for the party. But that's not what patriotic education should be about. Now, we know that in education, when you understand something, you go through comparisons, you go through contrast and confusion, right? You ask questions. That's a part of the learning process. Whereas in brainwashing, it's simply them telling you what to do. Right? No questions asked. So the CCP can enhance this messed up definition even more because there's simply no alternative or a contrast or a reference to be seen. And this is why Taiwan is so important, but I'll leave that in a bit later. The most important part of this new law is to create and center the attention around Xi Jinping as the core leader, to create him as this paramount leader next to Mao, right? In other words, nobody before him or after him will be as good as him except for Mao. Not only do you now have to love the party, but you now have to love Chairman Xi Jinping first. And that's, again, equal to the party now. It also contains specific clauses about targeting religious clergy and believers. Now, the law also refers to self-confidence, which is a buzzword promoted by Xi Jinping, whose cultural thoughts have essentially permeated through all of this communist stuff, right? And it comes as Xi Jinping launched a nationwide campaign to boost ruling party involvement in both cultural output and in cultural output, but also in many levels in terms of what is essentially a reversal to the times of the Cultural Revolution in 1966 to 1976. We're really watching this unfold in real time. And it means that patriotic propaganda in schools, institutions, and places of worships will soon be realized. It's absolutely about building a personality cult around Xi, and in turn, around the CCP. Now, the law, in many areas, it's really about brainwashing to the extent of everything that you do must relate to loving the country, right? I'll give you the areas here. So first is teaching Marxism and communism, right? That's the bread and butter ideological brainwashing. Next, you have the history of the Communist Party, the new China, reform and opening up, the development of socialism, and development of the Chinese people. And all these attribute to the current leadership. And the third is the system of socialism with Chinese characteristics, again, Xi Jinping's talking points, the Communist Party's great achievements, historical experience, and vivid practice in leading the people to unite in struggle. And that will again be attributed to the achievement of Xi Jinping. And the fourth is going to be the exceptional culture of the Chinese people, revolutionary culture, and advanced socialist culture. That's hijacking the Chinese culture for the sake of the Communist Party. 5 and 6 deal with nationalist symbols and signs, such as the national flag, anthem, and emblem, and the majestic landscape and historical and cultural heritage of the motherland. 7 is the knowledge of conception of areas such as constitution and law, national and ethnic unity, national security and defense. Ethnic unity is a term we're going to talk about next. 8 is the deeds of the heroes and martyrs and their embodiments of people's spirits, etc. And finally, 9 is all other contents and patriotic spirits. Okay, so after I listed all of them, right, the feeling that we get here is above all of these, the CCP wants you to get out of it a sense that without the CCP or without Xi Jinping, none of these are possible. Now, this law also specifically targets people in Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan. So I'm going to talk about why the ethnic unity issue or the Taiwan issue is so important. What the law refers to here enhanced their identification with their country and China's excellent cultural traditions, and the so-called safeguard national and ethnic unity. This is really important for the soft assimilation plan before the upcoming Taiwan invasion. Now, China wants to use a one last attempt to co-opt Taiwan without firing a shot. By increasing propaganda and promoting the so-called unified identity, right, it seeks to eliminate the differences of national identity that's created around the Taiwanese people and the Chinese people. In doing so, it eliminates the need for a separate government in Taiwan. This is working especially well for the CCP because they've tried it with the other 55 ethnic groups in China. So what they've done is eliminate the ethnic differences, and then they can do so with the same now on a national identity level with Taiwan. And the difference once eliminated, Taiwan is just simply a provincial government to that of China. So I think for Taiwan, they need to protect themselves, maximize the education on the ideological differences, not the ethnic similarities between Taiwan and that of communist China. Because otherwise, it is cognitively going to be, it's an invasion cognitively waiting to happen for people in Taiwan. Because many will not be thinking about the democratic government or the freedom that Taiwan currently enjoys outside of China, right? So this is the lack of comparison that people in the mainland have when it comes to, an alternative version of communists, right? Whereas outside of China, you see all sorts of different governments and all sorts of different ways in which government runs certain countries or how they interact with people. And that is not there for the Chinese people. And that's why they're being brainwashed. And so for Taiwan, protect themselves, increase their ideological education is so important. Now, before we conclude our episode today, I just want to give a shout out to a viewer who donated and offered an amazing comment. This is from Justin Fitzpatrick. He says, "Thank you, David, for exposing this vile cruelty. I thought the ordinary citizen was kind to pets. I cannot get the image of seeing that poor little Frenchie's eyes and face, stricken with terrible fear and distress. How evil CCP people can be. I'm so saddened by this. I wish I could give you more money. You're a good man, David. Keep it up. Regards and respect, Justin." He's referring, of course, to the episode where I talked about China killing pets. So thank you, Justin, again. And this is super important for me because I get to hear some of your thoughts, and it really helps me to keep going as I do these videos. So appreciate it again, Justin. And if you do want to support me or support this channel, consider checking out my sponsor or provide a donation. The links are in the description. So thanks again for watching today, and make sure to subscribe, like this video, and comment below your thoughts on our topic today. Super important. I'll be waiting to hear that from you guys as well. Okay, this is China Insider. I'm David Zhang. We'll see you next time.